So I'm Nicola Wells. I'm one of the Global Reward Directors in Unilever. And today we wanted to kind of just talk to you about a pilot that we've been running with Wealth Wizards in the UK alone at the moment. So click up would be helpful. We're going to split the presentation, so you're going to hear a little bit from me and then you'll hear a little bit from Sophie. So we've done this pilot with Wealth Wizards, and what I want to take you through is why did we start on this. So anybody that knows anything about Unilever probably knows that we have a very long heritage. So we've been around for many, many, many years. Some of you may even have been up to the north of England, where you'll see we're similar to Cadbury's, where Lord Leverhulme actually set up a whole village, etc., for the employees. So one of our values, and I was listening to, values are important to many organisations, but one of ours is our employees are core, and we've always thought about their well-being. And today in the modern world, we think about that through all of the kind of well-being arenas. And Unilever are quite hot on that, but the one that we've probably been a bit lacking in, probably like many, has been our financial well-being. So we're very clear that we want our people to be unique. They're very individual. We don't just see them as a number, we do recognise their value. So with that kind of lens of our values and our vision, we wanted to set up a pilot around our financial kind of educations and well-being that really recognised that and empowered them. Alongside that, in Unilever, we're running lots of other programs. So we're constantly looking at automation, we're constantly looking at how the workforce is changing and how we can fit these things all together. And some of that really sticks to the first point, which is we want to empower everybody. We see them as individual and we want to give them choice. Much more than just a job title, as I mentioned, and really then to equip them with the decisions. So along this journey, as we were starting, we've also run to automate all of our reward platforms. We have a full live real-time total reward system that our employees linking to and helped us to kind of then take the next steps on the journey, which is if you've now got the data about everything that we give you, we are a large organisation and we do run lots of different programs around shares as well as bonus, etc., and all our benefit programs, what's the other piece that you need? And as we started to run focus groups and we started to run, and we do run engagement surveys, we do pulse surveys, we do lots of various communication, the feedback that was coming in was mental well-being has been hot on our agenda, but when we broke the stats down globally, and equally interestingly the same stat but for the UK, the biggest worry for our people, so 33%, was around finances. So it wasn't just around some of the other areas that we see in wellbeing, it was really focused on finances, and it was something that we were slightly lacking in. So with all of that in mind, our heritage, with the other projects that we were running around, we were already providing all of the data that we give to people so they know fully their total reward and they can look every day. We wanted to then give them something more to how are they going to utilise that data, what should they be doing with it, and where are their hotspots. The last piece really is we hear a lot, and I do when I talk to other conferences and when I engage with a lot of our peers, the world's changing, you know, everything, whether it's in your organisation or not, now we want something personalised to us. So historically in Unilever we'd done lots of large-scale kind of talks in webinars and things, but they were very generic. They didn't really speak to the individual so well. So we wanted to go out and look for a platform that would allow us to help to tailor very much to your circumstances. And that's where we found Wealth Wizards. So we partnered with Wealth Wizards and we are doing a pilot, or have done a pilot, very much more now. Unilever, we don't do big bang, we do roll things out in the agile kind of methodologies. And we wanted something, we have a very diverse workforce in Unilever in the UK. We have factories and our blue collar workers all the way up to, we have the global head office sitting just a few 10, 15 minutes walk away. So we have every type of employee. We run around 7,500 employees that are active in Unilever today in the UK. So it's quite an expanse to try and cover all of those differences. And the big thing that we really wanted to, and I will say again, broken record, but Employees are important. We really wanted to personalise them, and we wanted to give them something that would really help and change how they view their finances in their lives. Okay.
Thank you. So, as Nicola has said, so from the UK point of view, we wanted to really channel our pilot, and we're a global organisation. We wanted to make sure that actually we're starting small, as Nick said, with this very agile focus. We chose the UK, where we have over 7,500 people. Nick's talked you through a little bit around, we have people in manufacturing sites, blue-collar employees, we have finance individuals, we have all sorts of functions. And actually within that, not only are we trying to navigate different levels of understanding, different demographics, different financial priorities, but also actually working around different shift patterns. How do we make sure that people have this support at the point that they need it? So when we first entered conversations with Wealth Wizards, this was #1 priority. How do we make sure that we do something in this manner? In terms of what we did, so we had many conversations with stakeholders before, and then during our conversations with Wealth Wizards. We landed on agreeing that actually what we would use was one of Wealth Wizards' tools called Money Wizard. How that works in a nutshell is essentially employees were all given access to a simple survey. They answer a few questions. It helps them determine their financial priorities. And then based on that, they get signposted. Some of that signposting is to external resources and support materials. And then we also customize that pathway so that actually employees could see and be signposted to Unilever support and materials that we have in existence as well. It wasn't that hard aligning the stakeholders in Unilever because, as Nicola has explained, we've got the surveys, we've got a bit of the data. We knew this was a hotspot and a priority area for us. I think the one key thing that we wanted to do and that we managed to achieve was having alignment from the Wellbeing team, from the reward team, from HR, and the wider business. So we had the chair of the UK business really passionately advocating this. So it wasn't just a HR initiative or a reward initiative. The one thing that came out of the conversations with various stakeholders was we want this to be digital. Why? It's the way the world's going. From an employer point of view, it gives us such a wealth of knowledge and insight in terms of the data that we can get from it. For Unilever, we're global. Having that scalable element and testing that was key, as well as actually, if you think from a digital point of view, it's cost effective, and there is that element to it. We've done changes before, and we have used one-to-one advisors, and that may well be a place for that at points in time, but actually on a more general real-time access, this was something that was key to being cost effective. From an employee point of view, it allows them to have that access at the point of need and actually starts tailoring the advice they get. So in the UK, we already have a well-established financial wellbeing program, but it's more around webinars, online resources, etc. Actually, what we wanted to do was use the digital assets to start helping people navigate to what they actually needed. In terms of rollout strategy, so our comms approach really formed 2 channels. So the first one, email out to all employees, this is the link, this is what you have access to. The second one we worked with the Wealth Wizards team and ran a lot of on-site engagement. So there were various sessions through lunchtime, just grabbing people. We appreciate that actually going online and doing a digital solution when talking about finances might feel a little bit alien to some people. So it really helped, and actually we can track from an uptake point of view. When we had those on-site engagements, you saw a huge spike in people accessing the tool. What were the results? So we ran a very short pilot. It was 4 weeks in duration. We had 804 employees across all areas of the business go through it in that space of time, which we were really happy with because it starts to give us a good indication of how it's landing. It gave us great insight in terms of where we might need to focus. How did it do that? I will talk through. So the way that the Wealth Wizards survey worked is that each individual gets a score across these 5 buckets. So we're looking at things from spending habits on a day-to-day basis, right the way through to your ability to cope with a crisis. So if your boiler breaks down tomorrow, can you afford to fix it? Managing debt, ability to save, and then your stance on pensions. So you get quite a holistic view. And what we get as an employer is an aggregated view of that. Now, what you can see, and interestingly, I appreciate this information is very Unilever specific for a small population in the UK, but interestingly, I think from showing you guys what data and insight you can pull from that, we typically, I think maybe because you hear a lot about it in the market, managing debt, we kind of went into this expecting that would be our biggest hotspot area, when actually in reality, the data shows actually we're pretty sound there. The bits that we pulled from this that we would need to focus on was spending habits and coping with a crisis. Actually, none of the other stuff, people don't really focus there if they haven't got their spending habits in control and they aren't able to cope with a crisis. So you think, I mean, looking at this, 33% of the employees that we went through this are either spending everything that they earn or more than they earn each month. So actually for us, you can start to say, well, when you're looking at initiatives and what you might do, whilst we'll still promote things like our share schemes as we offer to employees, actually, do we need to start thinking about how we can support employees on a more short-term basis, and how do you manage your spending and get that into control? In terms of feedback, so we were really keen, we did put some feedback in there, really keen to understand how our employees felt engaging with the digital tool. We know this is a bit of new territory for them. We were really, really pleasantly surprised, and I'll be honest saying that. We weren't sure how this was going to land. You can see the stats, they speak for themselves, but overwhelmingly positive. And actually, the other really positive side impact that we got through this was the traffic rates to the internal Unilever resources and channels that we signposted. They were the highest they've ever been. So it shows not only are we helping people get to what they need at that point in time, we're also really leveraging what we already have in existence. That's it in a nutshell. In terms of, we've said it's a pilot, where are we looking to go from here? We're reviewing. Obviously, this looks like it was a huge success. We have the very UK-focused lens, but we are in many, many countries around the world and have the complexities of that of different financial regulations in each market. So we're reflecting at the moment and having a lot of internal conversation about how we take this forward. But watch this space, we will be doing something. Hopefully that's helpful just to give you a bit of an insight of how we approached it and the benefits that having this personalised digital tool actually brought to us as an employer and also to our employees. Thank you.